This is Frankfurt in Germany. Frankfurt am Main, to be more precisely. So this is Frankfurt, located right next to the river Main, because there's also a Frankfurt an der Oder, which is a much smaller town, located at the German-Polish border. But this is Frankfurt am Main. And if you're from North America, Australia, or from the highly developed urban areas in Asia, you might not see much special about the skyline of this city. It probably wouldn't strike you as very impressive, but in fact the Frankfurt skyline is pretty unique in Germany, and it's even relatively special for the entirety of Europe. Frankfurt basically is the only city in the entire country of Germany that has a skyline with some sort of prominence in the first place. Many of the buildings you see in this video are about 200 meters or about 600 feet tall, which by North American, Australian or Asian standards is not really impressive. The lack of significant skylines in Europe is a cultural and historical thing. Only few cities in Europe have a significant skyline, and if they do, European skylines often consist of groups of towers located outside of the city centers, as is the case in, for example, Moscow or Paris. Why does Europe not have a tradition of building tall in its city centers? Well, much of the cultural and economical development of Europe and much of the growth of its city centers took place in an era in which the technologies to build skyscrapers was not available yet. So many of the central areas of European cities are still dominated by historical buildings dating back centuries. Despite war and some stupid decisions by local authorities, thousands upon thousands of these historical buildings have been preserved, as we can see in beautiful cities like Paris, Rome, Barcelona, Amsterdam, Prague and Vienna. Many European cities try to preserve that cultural heritage, and they often want to preserve historical lines of sight, which means no skyscrapers will be built in areas where they could impede the view from and to historical buildings. Now, Frankfurt in Germany is one of the few European cities where local authorities have decided to let go of that principle. Many of the historical buildings of Frankfurt had been destroyed in World War II. So, after 1945, urban development in central Frankfurt started with a clean slate, resulting in a slow but steady flow of architecture that was pointing to the skies. And even today, almost 80 years after the end of World War II, Frankfurt still is one of these rare examples where the actual central area of a European city is home to a group of skyscrapers. But for the past 20 years, Frankfurt has set a trend in the European mainland. More and more European cities choose to develop their own versions of relatively modest skylines in their city centers. Of course, compared to the towers that are being built in North America, Australia and Asia, European skylines are mostly very restrained, and that really causes many European cities to have a look and feel of a modest town rather than the huge commercial hubs that they often are. And maybe that is exactly one of the very charming things of European cities. Is that going to stay like that forever? I don't think so. Now, I do like modern skylines, and some of them can be very impressive, intriguing and fascinating. But once a city opens the Pandora's box of skyscrapers, there is no way back, and the historical character of a city will change forever.